I think the final bill that I got from it was like $12,500. Or I've done tile full-time while being a full-time college student now for my third year. And I think my starting wage was $50 an hour. So I'd say you could probably get started for $500. Danny Nelson, this is Ceramic Tile Installations, and I've been running this business for 2.5 years. I just got started on a whim. Luckily, just ran into a guy who was just looking for some part-time work during COVID, so just kind of fell into it.
What did you do beforehand, and how did you learn?
I am 23, so I started doing tile when I was like 20. After high school, I went and played hockey in Canada, so I really was nowhere near tile at all. And then when COVID hit, I had to come back home, and I was just looking for work. And I ran into a guy that was working on a friend's house, and I was like, wow, this is really cool work. I will do whatever you want, and just help you out if you need any heavy lifting or anything done. So I started working him the next day actually, and turns out he was the best tile guy in town. So I learned a lot from him over the course of a 1.5 years, and it usually takes a little bit longer to maybe learn how to do tile, but I had a little bit of a progressed eye and an inclination of how it works, just for being handy as a kid and always like doing projects, and there's actually quite a bit of art stuff with it. So kind of being detail oriented helped me a bit, but yeah, just kind of fell into it, was a sponge and just soaked up everything that my old boss was doing and was able to then take it off on my own and do my own thing.
What are some of the investments you had to make to start?
The start of investments, honestly, pretty low. I just started doing backsplashes for grandmas. I remember my first backsplash was like, probably the ugliest thing you've ever seen, but I did a good job on it. So yeah, like a tile saw is probably gonna run you like $350 material, really not that much more with tools. I'd say you could probably get started for $500. Now I have like a truck and a trailer and an employee and all that stuff, so it goes up as you go, but honestly a lot of your materials get thrown onto your invoice at the end, so you don't end up paying it for a lot of it, which is really nice. But startup cost is pretty low, and then I've been using the same saw and the same tools and everything for now 2.5 years.
Can you talk about some of the services that you offer?
Yeah, so pretty much anything tile we offer. When I started, I was doing literally anything from replacements to fixing broken tiles in people's backsplashes. I think backsplash is the best way to get started if you're trying to do this on your own, because that's just a pretty simple application and you only are dealing with a short amount of courses. So it's usually a backsplash like 18 inches. So not that much can go wrong in 18 inches, especially when you have a level countertop to start off of. So if you have a decent eye for it, anyone can really do a backsplash with a little bit of training, and you can make a lot of good money doing that. So backsplash is a great way. That's kind of how I started. And then I just started undercutting everyone else's prices and overdoing their work. So that's how I just got my phone to start ringing, which is, it was a lot of work, but now when your phone is ringing all the time, it's worth it. The biggest part with getting started, I would say, would just be getting back to your clients ASAP. I always tell my client to text or call me, just because I always have my phone on me like every other 23 or 2-year-old kid does. So I just will never leave a text or a call unanswered. So a lot of the people that I'm working with is honestly like moms who are busy and they don't want to email some big business. They'd rather just text Danny at Ceramic Tile and I'm going to text them right back. So that's one of my biggest pieces of advice if you're looking to get into it, is just be convenient and almost be like a friend to your clients rather than a business.
What do your day-to-day operations look like?
Yeah, that's like the best part of this job for me, for sure. In the summer, I take every Friday off because I usually can work that into my week. So I usually, like the day-to-day during the winter and all else times would be about 10 to 4:30 would be the work day. A lot of times 10 to 4, 10 to 3:30, because just with how it goes with tile, you got stuff that's drying and stuff that's setting. So it oftentimes makes sense to just leave rather than work around stuff that's loose or you could bump out of place. So yeah, a lot of times the days really aren't that long. Being honest, I can't really do my best work for more than probably 6 hours. until I get mentally fatigued and physically fatigued. So like having a helper definitely helps, but still we work pretty short days, 10:30 to 4, around there. We work pretty much every day of the week outside of Saturday and Sunday. And then in the summers, like in the peak of the summer, I'll take my Fridays off.
What is this?
So this is grout. Just get clean bucket, clean water. A lot of people use filtered water. Any type of clean water is good. And you learn how to mix as you get better at it. But always start with less material.
What's the stuff that you put into it?
So first thing that went in was clean water into a clean bucket, and then you put in your grout. I use Ultra Color Plus FA by Mapei. This color is Frost. It's like a light gray. That's gonna go into this shower here. Grout uses very little water, so start with it just barely enough on the bottom, and then you want to throw in a decent amount of grout. It's always better to just kind of add as you go, because you don't want to go too stiff or too thin. So once you got it in there, take your mixer, like hooks onto your drill mixer. I always make sure I hold the bucket. Then I just start mixing real slow, so you don't get too much air into the grout. So I can tell that I'm gonna be a little too dry on this mix so far, so I'm just gonna add a little bit of water into it. So like clean, untainted water, and then just mix again until you get the right mix. So that would be good, but since I'm gonna do a whole wall, I'm just gonna make it a little bit thinner, so it's a little bit easier on me to slide around in the grout joints. So I'm just gonna add that little bit, just like dial it in, and then this should get me where I need to be. Just rinse off my mixer so nothing hardens on it. And then you're all good. So that's like a pretty good mix. Not too thick, not too thin. It'll still stick on your trowel, which is nice. This is called a grout float. It's rubber, so it doesn't scratch the tile, and it allows you to slide it into the grout joints. So I usually just start at the bottom. Just put a little bit on, swipe. And the best way to do this is at a 45-degree angle from the joint. So this would be straight up and down. That would be 90. You want to be at 45. And that helps it slide into the grooves a little bit better. And you just kind of clean up any extra stuff with your trowel and collect it on the front there, and then go and use it somewhere else. So after you're done filling all your grout joints, this will start to dry. As you can kind of see, it's like, light gray and then white, so that's technically dry. But you buff that out with a sponge, and then it just leaves you what you have in your grout joint, which is like a perfectly smooth surface here. By buffing it, you smooth that all out, and then you just give it a finished wipe to reduce, to take off any other residue, and then you're left with the finished product. So same thing goes for the floor. This is a herringbone marble 1x4, so considered kind of a mosaic type, but this is all sloped for the shower pan, so same thing applies, just grout. Since these are already on a 45-degree angle with the pattern, you don't have to go at a 45, so you can just kind of comb it in there, left to right. And just make sure you get all your cracks filled. Then you're left with that, and you can still see it's wet, and then we'll just let that dry, give it a quick buff, wipe it, and it'll all be good. So clean water, clean sponge. You can do that at Lowe's. They're like the Pro Plus sponges. That's what I like to use. And then I go wherever I started. So down here is where we started, and you can see it's getting kind of almost like dusty. That's when you know it's dry, and it's still in there how we put it in. So what I like to do is small circles left, small circles right, and that'll kind of clean these joints up. So if you look like right here, we kind of have, obviously not professional grade grout joint. You just hit it with the small circles left, small circles right. That gives you that perfectly smooth, even grout joint all the way through, because the sponge will kind of dip in there just a little bit and even out all your grout joints. So It's important to make sure that you do this at the right time, because if you do it too early, you'll bring out too much grout from your grout joints, or if you do it too late, you'll be rubbing super hard and you won't be able to get stuff like this off of your tile. So even though it's a pretty simple part of the job, it's really important, because you can spend, you know, all the days that it took to put this whole shower together, and then you can ruin it all if you let grout harden on it in the wrong way. So it's important to really take your time and make sure that you're keeping track of time and doing it at the right, everything at the right intervals according to the specs from whatever grout brand you're gonna use. So better to take it small chunk at a time and do it right than do the whole thing at once and mess it all up. And then at some point your sponge will get a little dirty. So you just throw it over to your helper, get a fresh one, move along. And then anything that's on the tile, any of this, you just go ahead and wipe off, because you don't want it there anyways. You can also flip the sponge, get the other clean side going. You can see right here, I missed a little spot, so I can just grab a little bit of grout, maybe from the floor that you dropped or something, kind of finger bang it in there, give it a wipe, and you're good to go. So for ones like these, I just like to brush it until I have a consistent grout joint. Also, this depends on how you cut your tile. As you can see, our cuts here are perfect, all even, you know, going next to this metal trim piece. So having even cuts helps make your grout look a lot better, and make your work look a lot more professional, because obviously consistency looks better than inconsistency. So this is the floor section that we did. We grouted it, we let it dry. You can see it's kind of got that dusty haziness to it. Just clean sponge, hit it with those tight left and right circles. Remove all of that grout that's on the surface of the tiles. That's the whole point of wiping it. Just make sure that your tile is all clean and that your grout joints are all filled. Flip your thing, give it a good wipe. Now we let that sit, that'll dry again, and then we give it one clean wipe, and then it's all good. White tile, and we obviously have a light gray grout, but if you're using like a black grout on a white tile, you'd see a bunch of black, like fog on these tiles, and you can see on here there's a little bit of white fog. So that's it's called grout haze. So to remove that, you take a clean sponge, clean water again, and we're gonna, at our 45-degree angle, usually start in one corner, and I just give it a nice clean roll across, and that picks up all of that smog. As you can see, we picked up a little bit of grout dust there. So I do that, and once again, at a 45-degree angle, so you're not taking too much material out of your grout joints. You're just picking up what's on the surface of the tile. You can see a little bit of a difference here from where it was to where it is. But obviously with white on white, it's a little hard. But when you're using contrasting grout, it's very easy to tell where you have haze and where you don't. So just that clean diagonal wipe, one side of the sponge, other side, and then swap for a fresh one. So it's all dry. We've already buffed it. So it's just got that white dust on the tile, which you can't really see, but you can see there, you got that haze on the tile. So 45-degree angle to the grout joint. Just give it that nice slow white. And now you're all good. Just stay off of it for an hour to 3 hours, or whatever your manufacturer recommends grout-wise. And then it'll dry and you're ready to roll.
The projects, are they hourly or are they standard flat fee? How does that work?
So I would recommend, if you were first starting, what I do or did was I went hourly, and that way, so I went hourly and I worked hard. That's the thing. When you quote people for hourly, they get a little nervous that you might just lollygag or take your time. So what I first started doing was I would charge hourly, and I would usually, if you're doing backsplash, like the family's around, so they're gonna see you. And I always just, there's no idle time when I'm working hourly. And that makes you able to charge a lot hourly because people know that you're getting a lot done. In tile, it's actually really common for people to charge by the square foot. I don't charge by the square foot just because oftentimes that gets you into like bidding wars with other contractors. So what I've been doing now, since I did hourly for like a year and a half, I understand what it's going to take, how long it's going to take me, how much material is going to cost for me to do a job. I now know that the knowledge of what it will cost, and I'll go ahead and quote that to what I think I can get it done for. But that is I would say quoting is a better option and more advertising to the customer because they know no matter what it's going to cost this, so I'm fine, you know. But where hourly, it's kind of an unknown. I would definitely recommend working hourly to start until you know, okay, this shower is going to run, you know, $8,500, rather than quoting a shower, you know, at $4,500, and then you're the one paying for their shower. So make sure I would say start hourly so you know what it's going to cost, where you're going, and how much it takes, and how quick or fast or slow you are at getting stuff done.
What are some of the expenses that come with tile work?
Tile work expenses, you're gonna go through a couple pairs of jeans and shoes and clothes. Honestly, one of the biggest things that people complain about in the tile industry is their knees, which I haven't had any issues with because I'm very aware of it and very like, what would you call it? I don't know, but I've always been like, I do not want to be that guy that like did tile for 10 years or whatever and like can't walk. So definitely have been weary of that, and like I'm just smart with how I work. So I'm like, if I can't be sitting down, I'm sitting down. Once I got to a point where I could take showers and everything, so like a room like this, you know, there's only like 35 to 40 square feet of floor. That's only like one day down on my hands and knees, so that's not bad. But if you take like a 400, I remember when I first started, I did like this whole main floor of a house, and it was like 400 or 600 square feet. And I was just like, I was really, really beat after every single day for 2 weeks. And I was like, this isn't worth it to my body. I don't accept any flooring requests anymore just because I can. So definitely I would say the flooring is taxing on your body. But as long as you take care of yourself, I work out every morning and like make sure I do my stretches and take care of my joints. But that's a big part of it, honestly, it can be taxing labor to start. But once you get into the realm of like luxury and high-end stuff, you're more either standing or sitting, and it's honestly more mentally taxing. Outside of other business expenses, I bought the trailer that I run. I'm just like a one team business right now. So the trailer we use, I think I bought for $2,500. I'll probably be able to resell that for the same. My truck is my car, so that's, you know, kind of a 50-50. So you're probably 10 grand into a vehicle to get stuff around. And then as time goes on, I've acquired tools and stuff that make everything easier, which if you're going to be in it for the long haul, I would just make sure you get the right stuff, get the high end stuff. That's going to make it easier. So, you know, like a tile cutter or snapper or something, $600, $700, stuff like that. But you know, that's a tool that you'll have for the rest of your life, so it's worth it.
What are you doing for your advertising, or is it mainly just like word of mouth? Are you spending any money?
Yeah, advertising, I got some business cards printed from a friend, and that has been it. I put those business cards in at the local tile shops. I think that's a great way to get business, is becoming close with people at your tile shops, because you'll get, you know, average Joe that's going to go in there and say, oh, well, I want to buy this tile, but you know, do you guys know of anyone who can install it? Because they're just there looking at tile, so likely they need someone to install. So if your business card is there, it's likely you're going to get a call. Also, I know all the workers there, so they will recommend me, which is a great way. So if you can kind of make a buddy at the tile shop, that's a great spot. Really just doing good work with tile right now. So I'm 23 and I've been doing tile in Grand Rapids for like 2.5 years, and I've never seen anyone younger than me doing it. So if you're good and you have attention to detail and you can do good work, you're going to be busy no matter what. So yes, it's word of mouth, but really your best advertisement is in your work. So leaving your clients satisfied, having a great attention to detail, being consistent in your work is huge. That's going to leave you with happy customers, and you're going to find so much business that way. Also, just being reliable and showing up on time, being punctual is huge. I'm always 5 minutes early. and leave right on time, or just over communicate with your clients is a huge part. And in the construction industry, there's kind of like that tendency for a little bit of unreliable work. So if you can be extremely reliable, you won't have any issues.
What's like the lowest job you've done? What's like the highest job you've done?
So my the first job I think I did was a backsplash. It was for like a kind of like a sports bar in someone's basement. I think I charged like $400. It really was small. It was, I think it was like 2 days of work or something. And I think my starting wage was $50 an hour when I started off on my own. But I worked for $18 an hour tax, so like 16 or 15 an hour for a year and a half, just washing buckets and stuff like that. So, but that's what I needed to learn it. So if you're gonna start, and like I would highly recommend becoming someone's helper, and they're always looking for someone to be your helper, and you just will clean their tools, watch them work, clean grout joints, help grout, blah, 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 whatever they need you to do. But really it was a huge investment for me to make $15 an hour for a year when I was 20, because I learned a skill that will be valuable to me for the rest of my life. And if I ever buy a home or want to get into real estate or anything, I know what good tile work is and what's not. And tile work is extremely valuable and only going up because it's a luxury. Tile is expensive. Like a bathroom that I'm in now, this floor that we're on is $40 a square foot, plus that's just for the cost of the tile. To do all the proper stuff underneath it and to install it, you're probably looking at like $65 a just per square foot, if you were to total it all in, which is really expensive. So, a bathroom, that I've done, that was my biggest project. I think the final bill that I got from it was like $12,500. So, that was a master bathroom with a big custom shower. It had a laundry room attached and a backsplash over the sink and the floor. It depends on the difficulty a lot, which you'll learn what's difficult and what's not. But tile work is definitely a luxury, and a lot of your clients are going to be, if they're doing tile, they must have money to do it, because it's not a cheap game at all. So when you're working for those types of clients, it's good because you're usually not getting nickeled and dimed. Hopefully you're naming your price and getting that check.
What's one of the biggest positives and what's one of the biggest negatives to your business?
The biggest positive would be flexibility, no doubt. I pretty much work whenever I want. I'm a full-time college student, and I've worked this job, or I've done tile full-time while being a full-time college student now for my third year, 3.5. So I will have graduated college in 3.5 years, as well as worked full-time all the way through. And it is work that is pretty flexible. Most of my clients will just give me the code to the garage, or they'll give me the code to the house, or a key to the house, or they leave the side door open. And obviously I'm not in here really early or really late making any noise, but whenever I want to come in, I come in. Whenever I want to leave, I leave. As long as the work is up to code, which with us it always is, they're not going to give you any slack for it. So you can kind of write your own ticket that way, which is really nice. The biggest disadvantage in this, just the lack of people wanting to do it. I've been trying to find employees and stuff, and it's extremely hard to find people that are oriented the proper way to do tile in the professional sense. You find a lot of people that are doing it right now just because you can charge so much, and sadly these people have no idea really what they're doing. They just know, oh my gosh, I'm a tile guy, I can charge $65, $75, $100 an hour. You do find that a lot of people are trying to just get into the industry for the hourly. I see those people's work all the time, and they're always put up and tore back out. So it's a hard industry to find people that are reliable and really do good work. So it makes it tough, because if you're good and your schedule fills up, if you can't find anyone to help you, you can end up with a lot of work on your plate. But you always are going to get paid for it, so that's nice.
How many projects can you expect to do in a month?
I think like a job like this is a big custom master bath with a 40 foot herringbone floor, all marble, all custom. Also, it's got stonework in it going on, niche, everything. This will have taken me about 2 weeks. something like this. So you're kind of in the 1.5 area per month with something like this. A job like this probably run somebody around $8,500 normally. So you're in that range of that material, and why, you've definitely got money invested in there for materials and stuff. But there is some nice perks with materials. I get like 5% back at Lowe's for being a pro. At the tile shops, I get everything at wholesale, and I get to resell it at retail to my customers. I give a lot of my customers a deal too on their tile because I'm already going to make a little money. So that's kind of an incentive I use to get them to buy with me, is I'll give you a better price on your tile, blah, blah, blah. So you can make money that way too, which is like good, quick money. All you got to do is facilitate them buying tile from your retailer or your tile shop. Depends. I could do 4, 5, 6 backsplashes in a month too, maybe even up to 10. But showers, these and big master bathrooms, they take longer. And a lot of times with the work, it's not about how much you get done. It's just about, continually improving your work and continually living up to the standard that you've previously set quality wise. So it's really not, I never come to work and think like, oh, I'm on a schedule, I got to get this done. I come to work and say, I just want to leave and say, wow, this looks perfect.
Do you have any plans on growing or expanding, and how would you do that?
Yes, that's something that I'm really trying to do recently. There are a lot of like home renovation businesses that do tile, but what I would say is you can pretty much trust that they're not as good as your individual setter or someone who's on their own, because the people on their own would make more. That's the thing with tile, is if you know how to do tile, it's pretty easy to go off and do your own business because you're going to be busy, you're going to get phone calls. So then you can name your own price, you can get your own schedule, yada, 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 which is what everyone would like, is that flexibility and good money. So if you're going to go and work for a big box store or a corporation that does tile, you're likely on a schedule, and you're not, someone's taking your pay off of the top, so you're not getting paid as much. So every tile guy that's competitive wants to go and do their own thing. So that is, that's kind of a little bit of a tricky thing to navigate, but it's definitely something when you're on your own, you have more advantages skewed to you that way. So what I'd like to do is get some employees under me, get some guys that know how to set tile, and then I can go, manage from afar more. And then obviously if any of my guys have issues on the job, I can come in and help them for a day or help them for 2 days if they have a tricky pattern or, unlevel floor, stuff like that. So that's where I would love to get to. But the problem is just finding those people, training them, getting them up to speed, and then retaining them and then keeping them in the business rather than having them leave and go do their own.
Do you have 3 tips of advice for other entrepreneurs?
3 tips of advice for other entrepreneurs. 1 would be take care of yourself first. I think that diet and being healthy is rocket fuel for being an entrepreneur. I definitely think a lot of people entrepreneuring out there might be so focused on entrepreneur, you might forget about the basics in life. So make sure that you're taking care of your head, taking care of your body and your spirit. I think that that's a super crucial part of your being, and it kind of makes you a attractive and contagious person to be around. And those are the people that are the ones that end up being successful in entrepreneurship. Number 2 would be just having the balls to go and do it. I remember when I quit and my old boss was super cool and still one of my best friends. When I quit working with him, it was, I was hard to leave with him, but I knew, oh my gosh, now I don't, making money is on me. So if my phone doesn't ring, I'm not going to be making any money tomorrow, or yada, yada. So it is stressful. Also, dealing with showers and stuff, you have possible leaks and flooding of people's homes. So there is stress, but just learning how to manage that is key. And obviously if you're doing good work, you shouldn't have much stress at all. So lastly, I would say communication is everything. Being punctual is everything. Showing up on time is I swear 40% of it. If you can just stick to a schedule and show up on time. Text them the night before, say, hey, I'm gonna be there at 9:30. I'm probably gonna work till 4:30. This is what I'm gonna do. They just freaking love that. And it's just a text message at night before 6 p.m. or whatever. So that's what I get my biggest compliments on, is I get back to people right away. And obviously just doing good work is by far the biggest thing.